Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, how you doing? Welcome on to the program. So today on the show we have computer and technology news, and that's brought to you by Computer America. And everything that you need to know is over at computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, past shows, future shows, the podcast. If you can't catch us live on IRN, then that would be the second best place to catch us. And while you're there, be sure to check out the links to social media, and hey, I think that's the best way to keep up to date with everything that we're doing here on the program. So I apologize for no show yesterday. That some personal things came up. Unfortunately, we had a dog pass, and that's never a fun thing. So, but hey, we're here today, and we're going to get these shows back on track. And everyone, we hope that you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful Thursday, and you are ready for some Computer America. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. Okay, so I think that for our first story, and we have a ton of different stories that we're going to talk about. For anyone who is new to these segments, we dedicate these these shows to just keeping you up to date on the latest news, the latest tech, and the latest stories. That there's a ton of different stuff going on out there, and we want to make sure that you stay up on it as well, and ourselves, because it's kind of funny how recurring a lot of these stories and a lot of these issues are. So to keep up with the cyclical and ever-changing nature at the same time, let's go ahead and get started. So I think that for our first story, we're going to go ahead and talk about dating sites for just a moment. And we have a couple stories here. Actually, this one's not a dating site, but I think people are trying to use this one. Instagram. And it's launching a limit to hide abusive messages. So this could be, obviously toxicity on social media is something that is on the rise. Whether or not you actively engage in it, that you notice it, it is happening. It is something that you definitely want to bring down, the tone and the kind of the heat of the conversation on Twitter, on Facebook, and so many others. It really has reached a breaking point. And so companies are trying to, address it in many different ways. And I think one of them is going to be, I think one of them is going to be this tool here with Instagram. So let's go ahead and get started, saying that Instagram has announced new features designed to restrict abusive messages during sudden spikes, saying that its new limits feature automatically hides comments and messages from people who do not follow or just started following. So there's going to be, some level of engagement there that has to happen before it gets through. Users who switch it on. It was designed to stop abuse from large number of people who simply pile on in the moment. The company specifically referenced the racist abuse following the men's Euro 2020 football final as one example. And I think that I recall that whole issue. Obviously, I don't follow soccer or football by any means. I know you could tell that from my body type, but it's there are definitely instances where mob mentality takes over, and even in a social media setting, mob mentality is a dangerous thing. So they said that, so what really constitutes a sudden spike? They're saying that the level of abuse prompted calls from the Prime Minister and other social networks to do more to prevent it, as well as several subsequent arrests. In July, Facebook and Instagram told the BBC News that it made mistakes in moderating the abuse and later promised to take a closer look at its software system. Now, they said that the new feature were designed to protect people from a sudden rush of negative attention. So this isn't trying to limit all negativity off of the platform. It's not trying to say that if a message that you don't agree with or you don't feel builds you up enough is blocked. No, this is about these hectic moments that can happen to anyone for any reason. Online outrage culture is, really coordinated and at the same time really erratic. It happens all the time. Now, they say that creators and public figures sometimes experience sudden spikes of comments and direct messages, requests from people that they don't know. In many cases, this is an outpouring of support, saying that if they go viral after winning an Olympic medal. But sometimes that can also mean an influx of unwanted comments or messages. And, I've been seeing a lot of these, kinds of messages about, they're just messages. It's just pixels on a screen. It doesn't even matter. You don't know these people. Things like death threats and abuse and, just generally really nasty things. Some people think, oh, hey, it's, they really don't mean anything by it. They're just being mean about it. And, I think that everyone kind of internalizes it. Obviously, when we put up YouTube videos, reading some of the comments that kind of go up there, I get it. Everyone has a chance and everyone has an opinion everyone has an opinion and everyone has a chance to share that opinion on a particular video. And something that I might say, that takes me 10, 15 seconds to get out and, even less time to actually think about. People sit there, ruminate, and get the ability to fully respond and rebuke and just completely tear down everything that I'm saying. And I get that, but man, it certainly can get to you sometimes. So there you go. I'm glad that Instagram is launching something like this, because a lot of these waves, a lot of these spikes, they're not really meant to affect change. It's not any kind of constructive conversation that's happening. It is a rush. It is a sudden surge that really is only meant to intimidate and scare that individual, because they're not going to look at 1,000 people all at the same time trying to message them really nasty things, and they go, whoa, I've been wrong this whole time. It's time to turn this whole thing around. No, it's it is meant to intimidate, and looks like they're trying to take that off the platform, at least a little bit. Now, they're saying that this also follows Twitter's announcement on Wednesday, saying that in Wednesday they deleted more than 2,000 tweets targeting people following the Euro 2020 final. The UK was the country of origin with the largest proportion of racist abuse. Of the accounts it had permanently suspended, 99% of their owners were identifiable, and saying that it was testing a tool that temporarily auto-blocks accounts using harmful language. So there you go. It's, again, this is not about trying to delete all of the toxicity and all of the abuse that happens on social media all at once. This is about these sudden events that happen, and it can be almost I don't want to say fun to be racist and things like that, but it can be very kind of moving for people to join a movement, join a bunch of people all saying the same thing, and you get to throw your voice in, you get to throw yourself behind something that a lot of other people are also pushing for. Even if that thing is completely wrong, even if that thing is completely abhorrent, just, again, that mob mentality really does have an effect on people. So Instagram looking to take it on, Twitter looking to take it on. I'm sure Facebook is already tried and failed a dozen different things. But yeah, it's definitely good to see. Now, there was that story, and like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about a particular dating site, and in fact, this was Tinder, but not Tinder in the United States, although I hope it will be soon. Tinder in Germany. Check this out. This is actually very cute. Very, very cute. Tinder in Germany. Well, if you're on a dating app, you might be lonely. It would stand to reason. Well, check out this one. This one from Engadget and from Mr. Tarantola and from Engadget, saying that German animal shelter is posting profiles of adoptable pets on Tinder. So clearly, this is not the intended use for the app, but they're hoping, and this is the Munich Animal Welfare Association, and their approach to trying to find animals their forever home. They're putting their profile pics on a popular dating app called Tinder. And they say that the shelter hired a local advertising agency to snap professional headshots of 15 cats and dogs, and then posted them with astonishing results. And so, only 15 pets. And their logic, again, was this idea that, hey, maybe you're lonely and maybe you have time in your life, and hey, maybe a pet would be something that you'd be interested in as well as a girlfriend. So, it's definitely a unique approach, and they're saying that the move comes amid concerns from animal welfare groups that high rates of adoption seen during the COVID-19 lockdowns are slowing and could reverse as the pandemic ebbs. So they're worried that a lot of people who had more time, energy, and effort to stay at home, take care of a pet, and kind of go through the machinations of adopting a pet might actually reverse that as they have to get back to work, and obviously a lot of the reality of money becomes more and more of a pressing issue. So they're saying that by putting postings on wow, this is a really horribly worded sentence. Anyways, by posting profiles on Tinder, the shelter can potentially connect these pets with motivated adopters. They're saying that one of them, who works on Tinder's communication team, added, quote, "We hope that these animals find a new partner, a perfect match, perfect obviously in the long term and not just for a few weeks." So at least Tinder knows about it. They're not going to kick them off and, block them for unintended use of their platform. It's probably, I don't know. I haven't used a dating app in quite a while, but I can imagine that if I was scrolling through and I saw a cute puppy or a cute kitten, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to see on a dating app. So there you go. Fun story, fun idea. Glad that they were able to find a new way to kind of get the message out there that there are lots of perfectly adoptable animals still looking for a home. Just in this case, Germany. So there you go. So let's go ahead and continue on here. This one actually happened, I think, earlier today, and this follows a line of reactions happening out of Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard loses 3 senior designers amid a sexual harassment lawsuit. That lawsuit, if you don't recall, was being brought forward by the state of California. In their whole labor department, they did a deep internal investigation. They found incidents dating back, 10, 15 years, something like that. And a lot of them were about the kind of frat boy culture and, kind of male-dominated workplace environment. And also just kind of frat culture, really thriving there, including things like, wild parties, keg stands, just really crazy behavior that shouldn't happen in a professional workplace, let alone from a studio that is so, kind of venerated among the industry. So this is the latest one, and I believe Blizzard actually stated that they let them go. So they were fired, and not so much that they stepped down or walked away from the company. They said that 3 senior designers pivotal to Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft are no longer at Activision Blizzard. Kotaku confirmed the trio of abrupt departures after initially learning them from an internal source. So for Diablo 4, they mentioned the director Louis Barriga, lead designer Jesse McCree, and World of Warcraft designer Jonathan LeCroft. And, Jesse McCree, that name really sticks out to me, obviously, because it's one of the names, his namesake is one of the characters in Overwatch. So these are, long-term veterans and people who have been with the company for a long time, which seems to be the people that this lawsuit is really alleging, is that this was a long-term set of behaviors from the upper management for a long time. So insiders told the publication that the 3 developers' names have been removed from their internal directory and Slack. So there you go, no longer associated with the company that they really helped build up. News of the shakeup arrives as Activision Blizzard is grappling with allegations of systemic gender discrimination and sexual harassment. That too. They mentioned that Blizzard is facing an internal outcry with workers staging walkouts and demanding corrective action. Earlier this month, the company lost its president and was hit with a lawsuit by investors irked by its handling of the crisis. Which, there's one thing to be mad about the handling of the crisis. There's another thing to just say, this shouldn't have been happening at all. This is... a lot of the quote-unquote allegations were just wholly inappropriate, even from the beginning. So, yeah, they definitely should not have happened. Now, they said that while the company did not give a specific reason for the latest departure, two of the designers, McCree and LeCraft, were reportedly pictured in photos of the infamous Cosby Suite. This was the hotel room explicitly mentioned in the DFEH lawsuit, where male employees allegedly harassed women at company events. As Overwatch fans may know, the game features a cowboy called Jesse McCree, named after the now ex-Blizzard employee. So it's unsure whether or not they're going to change the name because, the name is pretty iconic to the character. So they could change it, and, it might even be a good thing, but who's to say? I will say, so this whole idea of the Cosby Suite, one of the strangest moments that I have read about this entire thing. So obviously, the Cosby Suite is named after Bill Cosby. And if you don't remember Bill Cosby, well, he is the disgraced actor who allegedly, well, not even allegedly, was proven to have sexually harassed, raped, and all that good stuff, women in the past. And so the thing is, this Cosby Suite that they were, kind of dealing with, they had a picture that they brought to every convention, and they had a suite in a hotel that they were all staying at, and they would party and, kind of do frat boy things. But they had this old framed photo or painting or photo of Bill Cosby. This happened in 2009 to 2013. This was a long running thing where they had this old cheesy photo, and they would wear cheesy sweaters like Bill Cosby would wear on the Cosby Show. Now, they stopped doing that by all reports in 2013. Pretty sure the allegation, a lot of the allegations and the trial for Bill Cosby didn't really happen until 2016, 2018, something like that. So it stopped a number of years before Bill Cosby became so reviled in, kind of in pop culture. But man, that was such a bad look for this group of employees that were partaking in what many would just consider to be a party with a weird theme and, and tacky sweaters. And then, of course, it turned into, in hindsight, something really abrasive and not even just tone deaf, just, as I said before, just an oof moment. It was so weird to see and just so unfortunate how the whole thing really played out. So that's the Cosby Suite, for those that don't know. And by the way, it was like LeCraft, McCree, there was a Ghostcrawler, there were a number of like really high-level designers for Blizzard that all partook in this conversation. So now, they say that, quote, "We have a deep, talented roster of developers ready in place and new leaders have been assigned where appropriate." That's what a spokesperson for Blizzard told Kotaku. "We are confident in our ability to continue progress, deliver amazing experiences to our players, and move forward to ensure a safe, productive work environment for all." And I said this last time we talked about Blizzard and Activision Blizzard. There are people who are upset about the state of their games, and they don't like where the games have headed. They don't like where they are currently. And to a lot of people, this should be seen as kind of a win-win. First of all, you're getting rid of, assuming that they are being let go for legitimate reasons, they're getting rid of creeps. They're shedding the sexist, abusive parts of their company, which is always a win. And then they are also getting in new people in positions of, directors, art designers, people who can bring some new experiences to their classic games. So yeah, it's sudden and it may be concerning because, hey, change is scary for a lot of people, but this could definitely turn out to be a good thing. Keeping them around, depending on kind of their contributions to these toxic workplace, these toxic workplaces was not really an answer. So I'm glad that they're taking swift action and they are seeking to replace them. Okay, that's there you go. That's story number 3. Story number 4. Tons of different stuff that we could talk about. How about this one? This one caught my eye because obviously hacking is on the rise. Cryptocurrency hacking, stuff like that. Very, very popular, very trendy right now to get hacked. We don't recommend it, but people are unfortunately falling for it. Now, check this one out. Hacker is returning $600 million in crypto, claiming that the theft was just for fun. And you know what? Having $600 million, that sounds like a lot of fun. But he's returning it and saying that, whoa, just a prank, bro. It's okay. Now, the hacker who breached the Poly Network crypto platform says that the theft was just for fun, smiley face. That's a direct quote, by the way. Just quote unquote for fun, end parentheses. Or close parentheses. There you go. And the hacker is now returning the stolen coins, saying that the hacker also claimed that the tokens had been transferred to the hacker's own wallets to keep it safe. LOL, JK. I guess. They said that Poly Network first disclosed the hack on Tuesday, saying that the hacker or hackers had stolen crypto coins worth about $600 million at the time of the heist, and the thousands of tokens included $270 million on the Ethereum blockchain and $250 million on the Binance Smart Chain, $84 million on the Polygon network, and a smattering of other smaller coins like Tether, Shiba Inu, and Matic. That's a lot of coins. It's pretty crazy. So as of 4 a.m. this morning, Poly Network says that 342 million have been returned, and the remainder is being gradually transferred, the company said. The question is why, and the only thing I can imagine is that Clearly, if you steal $600 million in one fell swoop, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you, because these coins didn't just come from one, kind of nameless company that you can just kind of write off. No, these coins came from a number of cryptocurrency investors, and I'm sure that they're going to be keeping an eagle eye on these wallets, where they go, where they're transferred to. Yeah, I'm sure with enough time, energy, and effort, they could have gotten away with it, because, once you have the coins, it's very hard to get them back otherwise. I kind of feel like someone was able to reach these people personally and get them to return the money. That seems like the most obvious one. Now, Poly Network operates a platform that allows people to move tokens between different blockchains using smart contracts that help to automate the process. The hacker exploited a vulnerability in one of the smart contracts, and the smart contract required a large amount of liquidity so that transactions between different blockchains could be completed quickly and efficiently. So, the article, this one from Ars Technica again, kind of mentions how they kind of did it. They said that they exploited a vulnerability in the way that Poly Network verified the smart contracts and change a list of public keys to match the hacker's private keys, according to the analysis of the hack tweeted by Kelvin Fitcher. Once those keys were changed, the hacker was able to reroute funds to his personal wallet. So it seems like he was able to access, kind of the back end, and instead of having these public keys, he was able to put in his own private wallet key. So everything was just, the system was just, copy paste, and all of these different coins, before they noticed, were being transferred to the wrong wallet. They mentioned that in an exclamation point laden, all caps Q&A found within one of the transactions, the hacker gave some insights into the motivation behind the hack. And they mentioned that we cannot verify the authenticity of the statement, and they said that they were linked in the hacker's accounts. Also, we've changed the passages to sentence case to make them more legible, saying that, quote, "When spotting the bug, I had a mixed feeling. Ask yourself, what would you do if you were faced so much fortune? Ask the project team politely so they can fix it. Anyone could be a traitor given 1 billion exclamation point." Essentially, what would you do? Would you steal $1 billion? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I can speak for everyone out there, but yeah, by and large, I think everyone would steal $1 billion given the chance. So though the hacker wasn't going to pass up on some extra cash, in the meanwhile, depositing the stable coins like Tether could earn some interest to cover potential costs so that I have time to negotiate with the Poly team. Essentially, they're holding, they transferred back like 340 million, so they're still holding like 300 million coins or something like that. Over time, though, and let's say it takes another 2 weeks for them to get all their money back, I'm sure that he's going to transfer back the other 300 million, but then, hey, over 2 weeks, if that coin appreciates another, $3 or $4 million in the interim, I'm sure he's going to skim that off the top. So, a little bit of friendly hacker fee. Shortly after they revealed the breach, it was posted a note to the hacker on Twitter saying that the amount of money you hacked is the biggest one in DeFi history. Law enforcement in any country will regard this as a major economic crime, and you will be pursued. It is very unwise for you to do any further transactions. So there you go. They said essentially, their law enforcement anywhere is going to catch you. They will find you. They have a certain set of skills, and they will use those skills to hunt him down. There you go. They said that this negotiating tactic, along with Tether freezing 33 million of its coins on the Poly network, seems to have worked, saying that you're going to have to find a way to get it out to cash in. It becomes a greater impossibility given things are tracked from wallet to wallet and exchange to exchange. There you go. Less than a day after the note was posted, the hacker began sending the stolen cryptocurrency back to the company, saying, "I understood the risk of exposing myself even if I don't do evil. I gotta say, stealing $600 million of not your own money," because then it wouldn't be stealing. Stealing $600 million, pretty evil. I know money is the root of all evil, but man, stealing it can't be good. Negative and negative don't make a positive. They're saying that, so I used a temporary email, IP, or so-called fingerprints, which were untraceable. The hacker capped off the answer with what may be a sarcastic wink at the crypto community, saying, quote, "I prefer to stay in the dark and save the world. LOL, JK, edgelord stole $600 million. That is really, really crazy. I mean, good on him for finding the vulnerability. It seems like a lot of people are going to get a lot of their money back. Hopefully security in the future is going to be a lot tighter, but man, that could have turned out so much worse. And let's face it, it probably will still turn out bad for the hacker who stole that much money, because it is a major financial crime. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they're actually caught and how much money they're actually going to give back, because that is a lot of money. Now, all right, so it looks like there was another Nvidia keynote while I was gone. I didn't really get to catch it. You can see here on the video portion, right there. Yeah, you can see the CEO of the company, that was Jensen Huang, saying that Nvidia pulled off a stunt to promote and showcase its latest technology by digitizing its CEO. So if you recall the previous Nvidia showcase, it was due to COVID and a lot of other reasons. The promo for it was actually pretty fun and pretty endearing. It showed the CEO's kitchen, which, man, great kitchen. Like, of all the kitchens, fantastic kitchen. But they showed the kitchen, and he was standing there in front of the island and, on a big cutting board. And he was like, here's the Nvidia graphics card, blah, blah, blah. At one point he wanted to reveal the latest one. So he turned around, reached down, pulled one out of the oven, to reveal it, because, there's no cuts and there's not a lot of cinematography happening. They kind of had to hide it, kind of around the kitchen. So it was very endearing, but looks like they were going to do it again. And yeah, this was, you can see it here. Let's go ahead and mute this. There's a lot of promo video and a lot of product video, but yeah, this was the making of the video that everyone saw. So it was called the metaverse, and it was this idea that you take your CEO, you do that, you do that presentation, but then you don't tell anyone that the CEO is actually a 3D model. Very cool. Let's find out more. So I mentioned that the graphics processor company Nvidia, maker of the 3080 GPU and obviously the 3090, showcased its prowess at computer animation by sneaking in a virtual replica of its CEO into a keynote speech. So they revealed in a blog post that the CEO did not do the keynote presentation at the company's GTC conference in April. So yeah, and they even have a link to it here. You can see that there. Let's see. So theater mode, and I believe that would be, so really. So they're actually referencing the video that, that a lot of people had watched, myself included. That he was actually CGI the entire time. That is, which, yeah, you can see it there. Obviously, it's hard to really kind of analyze pixel by pixel and be like, oh, well, of course it is. It's YouTube. There's compression. There's, varying data rates. I'm sure people around the world have different monitors and so on and so forth. There's a lot of in between, but yeah, no one said anything. No one said, wow, that looked like CGI. That did not look like a person at all. No, this completely conquered, completely jumped the uncanny valley. It was perfect. It was flawless. Now, they said that at least part of it was actually led by a virtual replica created by digitizing the CEO with a truck full of DSLR cameras and then animating him with the help of an AI, according to the company. The kitchen, which has become Nvidia's venue for speaking to customers and investors since the beginning of the pandemic, was also entirely computer generated. Very, very cool. It's not clear exactly which part of the keynote speech features the CGI, but if you jump to this part in the presentation, you can see him magically disappear and his kitchen explode into a million different pieces. Let's see, so it's 1:02, let's see, so it's 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds. So something like this right here. So again, all this, if you're watching on the video portion, you can kind of see it here. Yeah. There you go. Yep. So, yeah, he definitely disappeared. Every little piece of the kitchen kind of disintegrates, and it's not even like a Thanos snap kind of thing. It's more like everything was completely and digitally edited. So it's very, very cool. They mentioned that to create a virtual Jensen, teams did a full face and body scan to create a 3D model, and then trained an AI to mimic his gestures and expression, applied to some AI magic to make his clone realistic. Digital Jensen was then brought into a replica of his kitchen and was deconstructed to reveal the holodeck within Omniverse, surprising the audience and making them question how much of the keynote was real and how much was rendered. There you go. After this article was published, Nvidia updated its blog post clarifying that only 14 seconds of the hour and 48 minutes of the presentation were animated. So I'm guessing it's exactly that, the part that we're watching right now. I'm guessing that is the animated part. So there you go. The company also published a video on Wednesday talking about how they were able to do it and more. So very, very cool. A little disappointing, I'll be honest with you, that the whole thing wasn't CGI generated, because that would have completely blown my mind. But still, it's a very, very good demonstration of how powerful their graphics cards are, that power the AI learning and power the CGI creation. To be able to pull something like that off, and again, to be able to train an AI to really replicate the gestures and kind of the facial movements of this person, that is that's some next level stuff. That's what I'm sure people in Hollywood are looking for. That's what people in video gaming are looking for. I mean, that's going to make entertainment of the higher order for the next generation of consoles and more. It's very, very cool to see, and you got to give credit where credit is due. Nvidia did really, really good on that one. Okay, how about we talk about Foxconn. Okay, Foxconn and the United States. If you don't recall, there was supposed to be a Foxconn factory to be built in the United States, in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin bent over backwards. They really tried to go the extra mile to get Foxconn to build their manufacturing facility in Wisconsin, gave them tons of tax breaks, said that they were going to supply all the workers that they needed for high-paying jobs. I believe that factory was supposed to be dedicated to making displays like televisions, for the American market. That plan, even though so much was promised, never came to fruition. Years after it was supposed to be done and billions of dollars later, they were employing like 100 people or like 80 people. The factory was nowhere near being done built, and yeah, it was just a whole, I guess boondoggle would be the word. It was pretty bad. Now, this is from Engadget saying that Foxconn, they're still trying, plans to build electric vehicle factories in the United States and Thailand in 2022, saying that the company is reportedly in talks with 3 different states, including Wisconsin. If our current electric vehicle markets are anything to go by, I would say that Nevada is actually probably one of the higher ranking places to produce things. Although I guess Arizona for the chip manufacturing, from the likes of Intel, is a pretty good choice as well. But Nevada is usually where people go for this kind of thing. Now, they said that Foxconn is getting more serious about its electric vehicle ambitions, saying that the company told investors that it plans to build EV factories in the US and Thailand in 2022 and start mass producing vehicles the following year. If they can actually do that, that would be very, very impressive. To take 1 year from nothing to, producing cars, it took Tesla like 7 years to get any kind of mass production happening. And some would even say that they're still having trouble getting, mass production down. So in 1 year, we'll have to see. But the chairman said that the company is also in talks regarding possible locations for plants in Europe. At its U.S. facility, Foxconn will build vehicles for EV clients, including Fisker. The company signed a deal in May, and Foxconn plans to start making Fisker EVs by the end of 2023. Okay, we'll see if it happens. Foxconn is in discussion with 3 states, including Wisconsin, for the EV plant, according to the Nikkei. Earlier this year, Foxconn drastically scaled back plans for its existing facility in Wisconsin, and they also suggested that Foxconn may build EVs at the controversial plant. Essentially, not giving up hope that plant might actually prove useful. They're still kind of swinging that carrot, being like, hey, no, we're gonna build stuff. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. I know that we said that we were gonna build, displays and TVs, but hey, maybe cars. Maybe we'll do electric cars. Pretty wishy-washy. So they mentioned that Foxconn has already ruled out Mexico as a location, but is in negotiation with 3 states in the U.S. Let's see, so they include Wisconsin. I'm trying to find out where else they might be taking those, although it looks like it's not listed in this article as well. Makes me think that they did not state which other states are in the running. There you go. And by the way, this article from Nikkei Asia also mentions that those include Wisconsin, which just agreed with Foxconn to amend its former plan of investing $10 billion in the state. So they're scaling back that $10 billion investment. And remember, that's after like billions in tax cuts and tax incentives for Foxconn to build the factory there. Like, I get it. I'm sure that the governor and a lot of the local government there, they want high-paying, good factory tech jobs for their community. But they got taken for a ride. It's so not a good thing that Foxconn was able to kind of dupe them like that. But hey, second time's the charm, right? That should happen. We can see. Okay, so there you go. There's that story, and we'll definitely have to see if Foxconn can actually make waves. Because Foxconn, if the name sounds familiar, but you're not really sure why, it's because Foxconn is well known for making the iPhone. Obviously, they're about to start ramping up production on the iPhone 13, and yeah, they're controversial because they were doing things like putting up the nets to prevent people from jumping off the building, the horrible working conditions, and the allegations of the use of the Muslim population and the forced slave labor kind of deal. One thing that people have to know about Foxconn, though, is that Foxconn makes parts and products for pretty much everyone. There's not really that many that many tech companies that produce things out of China that at some point don't have a Foxconn production chain contributing to that. So it's not even enough to just kind of say shame on Apple for sticking with Foxconn. It's shame on everyone for sticking with China, because Foxconn is a big part of that. But I digress. Okay, that's pretty simple. Let's find one a little bit more simple to digest, because that one can get a little heady. How about this is probably the most simple one. And even though Reddit, to me personally, is kind of losing its sheen, it's an idea of treating social media like you don't really know everyone, but due to their upvote, downvote system, that's okay, because you still get a lot of relevant worldly news, depending on your settings, and kind of information that you care about in a timely manner. But it does lead to this kind of hive mind mentality. Only things that are popular to the majority of the platform are going to get noticed, and that can have varying degrees on different subreddits. But still, Reddit itself has become pretty mainstream, and I think that its most recent valuation definitely points to that, saying that $10 billion later, Reddit is now valued at that amount. So Reddit, the self-declared front page of the internet, says it is now valued at more than $10 billion after raising an additional $400 million in funding. The company continues to build and sanitize its business, removing racist, misogynist, and otherwise controversial communities as it prepares to go public at some point in the future, saying that, quote, "We are still planning on going public, but we don't have a firm timeline yet," saying that all good companies should go public when they can. Not always the case, and not always the best option, but for Reddit, for a company that is really built off of the back of its users, maybe public is the best thing for that company, because they're already so invested in outside influence. But the company previously raised $250 million in funding earlier this year for a valuation of $6 billion, but Huffman told Times that the company was approached with this recent financing round by Fidelity Investments and were made an offer that they couldn't refuse. Reddit makes its money from advertising on its site, and although that's a minnow compared to Facebook and Google, it's growing its business quickly. The company says it made $100 million in advertising revenue in the second quarter of 2021, up 200%. To put that into perspective, $100 million in a year is very, very good. Like that's a lot of revenue for, that's a lot of eyeballs to look at their post and see that. Now, for context, Google made, and remember, this is the thing that pretty much everyone associates Google with search. That the two are literally interchangeable. To Google something is an actual definition in the dictionary. Now, they said that Google made 61.9. Don't want to give them the extra $100 million for free, but about $62 billion in this year's second quarter. So, yeah, just, second quarter, $62 billion. Pretty crazy, mostly from YouTube and search advertising. Reddit now has roughly 52 million daily users compared to Facebook's 1.85 billion daily users. Facebook is also a beast, truly and honestly a beast of a company, and more than 100,000 active subreddits. Earlier this year, the company said it planned to double its staff count by the end of 2021 to around 1,400 employees. Huffman told Times that the new funding would make it easier to make the site easier for first-time users and help its communities expand internationally. So there you go. Promising some investment in the subreddits and into the communities, but by and large, they're still so small, but compared to what are titans within their industry, but they're very, very strong. Even though they are 1% in every metric of a Google or a Facebook or anything like that, they're at least seeing some very strong growth. So how long will it take for them to actually reach those levels? Who knows? But they're making a lot of headway, for better or worse, depending on your stance on Reddit. Now, let's see. So that was pretty easy. How about this one from Xiaomi? And Xiaomi does not get a lot of attention here in the United States. A lot of their products are banned. It has to do with kind of espionage and spying, and that whole Chinese government overseer thing. So that's why you don't see it too often. But they are a strong competitor to Apple, Samsung, and others outside of the United States. That's why they took over Samsung, or they overtook Samsung as the number one smartphone manufacturer in the world. Like, they blew Apple out of the water, they finally overtook Samsung, and they are the number one. They are the most popular Android device manufacturer, and obviously that means that they are the number one smartphone manufacturer. Well, they're taking on the iPad Pro, and their take on it, they're promising, is just under $400. Saying that Android tablets are totally coming back. Google launched a few tablets, obviously, and Samsung has their own as well. The Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro, so taking some of the Apple names and naming schemes, seems just a little inspired by Apple's flagship tablet. Xiaomi regularly produces wild technology-packed designs, but at times it falls back into old habits of being an Apple clone manufacturer, saying that this is one of those times. And again, with a name like the Mi Pad 5 Pro, as instead of the iPad blank Pro, but yeah. They said that the company's new tablet, it's 11-inch, 120Hz screen, 2560 by 1600 LCD. They mentioned all the different, 6 gigs RAM, 120 gig storage, 8600 milliamp battery, a fingerprint reader, power button, Wi-Fi 6 support. Yeah, this thing has all the bells and whistles, and, they mentioned the frame and back are both aluminum. A lot of it is very similar to an iPad. Like, honestly, if you put the two side by side, you'd say, this is an iPad clone. Now, the one part of the design that you could complain about is the front camera, which is on the left side of the device in landscape mode. So it's not really good for landscape video calls. It's especially strange when the keyboard accessory, side speakers, and side fingerprint reader all really encourage landscape use as the primary mode, but the camera conflicts with that. The reason for the odd location might be support for the pen accessory, which uses the top edge of the tablet in landscape to magnetically attach and wirelessly charge, which is also an iPad and Apple Pen feature. So, now, they said that cloning Apple is certainly a bad Xiaomi habit, but the company is also keeping its good habits, which is getting super cheap for what you're getting. They mentioned it's about $400, or about half the price of an entry-level 11-inch iPad Pro, and there's also a cell version, which is about $500, which is about half the price of a cellular iPad Pro. So for now, all these prices are converted from the Chinese yen, since the device is currently only sold in China, and where all Xiaomi's devices start out though, and usually they get wider rollouts. So maybe one day you'll be able to get your hands on one of these things if you are interested in a cheaper iPad Pro kind of knockoff. So there you go. It's but the devices are sold to a large audience, again, primarily in China to begin with, but that doesn't mean they don't work. To clone something takes a lot of his, takes a lot of their research and development and planning stuff pretty easily. So, okay, we have time for about one more story. How about... We have some higher level ones. I like picking on Facebook. Let's pick on Facebook. We picked on Reddit. We can pick on Facebook. Facebook may be forced to sell Giphy 1 year after buying it. And yes, I said Giphy, where, some people say it's GIF, some people say it's GIF. I personally believe it is GIF, simply because it makes the most people the most upset. So whether or not you go with GIFs or GIFs, well, turns out the UK competition regulator has called on Facebook to sell the image platform Giphy, which it bought for $400 million. They wish $400 million last year, after provisionally finding competition concerns following an in-depth investigation. And for those who don't know, that's when you message on Facebook and you can use the search bar and it pulls up a bunch of different GIFs. So imagine if you type in things like bear, you would find a bunch of GIFs all featuring bears or about bears or things like that. And you can insert them and send them to friends and conversations. And the integration proposition for Facebook is that it makes their messaging app more engaging. That people can send GIFs instead of just text messages and replies. It makes their messaging more fleshed out. But I'm having a hard time seeing where the competition is. I guess in the GIF market, it makes it harder because people aren't going to third parties to find their little animated pictures. I don't know. They said that the Competition and Markets Authority on Thursday said it believed Facebook's tie-up with Giphy would harm competition between social media platforms and remove a potential competitor in the display advertising market. So I guess they're saying that by Facebook buying Giphy, people aren't going to Giphy the website to kind of find their stuff, find more advertising and so on and so forth. Nope, they're just all being accessed by Facebook, and Facebook is getting to serve up the ads on both of the sites. I guess the display advertising market. I suppose. The CMA said its initial view is that the only effective way to address the competition issue that we have identified is for Facebook to sell Giphy in its entirety to a suitable buyer. Now, the CMA on Thursday said Facebook could deny other platforms access to GIFs because of the tie-up. The social media giant could change its terms of access so that platforms such as TikTok, Twitter, and Snapchat could be forced to hand over more user data in order to access GIFs, entrenching Facebook's already significant power. Really, if they're looking at ways to address further kind of power creep and further control by Facebook, I guess keeping an eye on their newer acquisitions is a good way to kind of start it. But man, they have to go back. They have to go back and really dig into what's making Facebook so profitable, so large. And again, like that number, I remember when that 2 billion number was their monthly active users. The fact that they're almost to 2 billion daily active users is just astounding. Now, Facebook said that we disagree. Oh, well, that's the end of it. No, we disagree with the CMA's preliminary findings, which we do not believe to be supported by the evidence. They disagree. It added that as we have demonstrated, the merger is the best interest of people and businesses in the UK and around the world who use Giphy and Giphy, whatever, and our services. We will continue to work with CMA to address the misconception that this deal harms competition. Yeah, Facebook has insisted that Giphy, which has no revenues or staff in the UK, does not compete with its existing services. It says its Instagram subsidiary has committed to continue to allow rival photo and messaging apps to access the library. I think that Facebook is too big. Absolutely. Do I think that they're too big because they have a monopoly on GIFs? No, not at all. That is not what makes them strong. Do I think that if Giphy was sold to, Snapchat or someone else, would that make them in a better position to take on Facebook? No, Giphy is not in any particular way are they a powerful resource for adding or taking away from from their ability to do business. But yeah, hey, you got to start somewhere, and if you can start nipping at the heels of Facebook, then hey, maybe that's the best way to do it. So I think with that and the music is going to start playing here any second now. Some of the other stories that we didn't get to, we might get to it later, include the fact that the Senate bill would stop Apple and Google's complete control over in-app payments, which would be huge. That's the whole argument over the whole Fortnite thing. Microsoft says that the NSA needs to scrap its deal with Amazon. Google bans tracking tool that sold user location. That one seems very weird considering that, hey, that's what kind of Google does. They mentioned that TikTok hopes to help teenagers work, rest, and sleep a little bit better, which is a very Chinese attitude that the applications need to have a more prominent role in people's daily lives and telling them how to do it, how to do things, when to do things, when not to play video games, when to play video games, when to listen to music, when not to listen to music. Or, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say video games, I should say online drugs. That's what they're calling them nowadays. But yeah, it's times are weird out there for tech, and everyone, we hope that you're doing great and you are ready for more Computer America every day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.